Starting a mushroom business sounds simple. Grow mushrooms, sell them, done.
But in reality, most people get stuck long before they ever sell a single mushroom.
Not because they're bad growers, but because they focus on the wrong things at the wrong time.
If we were starting a mushroom business again in 2026, knowing what we know now, we'd approach the entire process very differently.
So in this video, we share the key lessons we learned, what actually matters and what don't, and how to build a mushroom business that learns fast and sells quickly.
The biggest traps we see beginners fall into is trying to do everything from scratch. It feels logical to want to make everything from the beginning. Liquid culture, grain, substrate, it feels like that way you are really learning. But if we were you, we wouldn't start there just yet. Instead, we would focus on learning the basics, and we would start at the end of the process.
Specifically, this means that we would start at the fruiting stage, because fruiting is where you actually learn how mushrooms behave. It's where you see how sensitive they are to their environment, airflow, temperature, humidity, and how small changes can make a big difference. And that's also how you learn your setup, your fruiting tent or room, your local environment, and your equipment. But the most important reason to focus on fruiting first is this. It allows you to sell faster. And selling faster is really about one thing: feedback. Because when you sell early, you put something real in front of people. And that gives you valuable and relevant feedback. This is where the concept of a minimal viable product comes in.
The goal of an MVP is to test your market quickly, without spending months or a lot of resources on something that might not even sell. Your product still needs to be good, attractive, tasty, but it doesn't have to be built 100% from scratch by you. The point is to learn fast. That early feedback is what drives your business forward. It tells you what varieties people really want, how to adjust portion sizes, what pricing works best. And you should talk to your customers. Ask how they prepared the mushrooms, what they liked, what they didn't, and what they would buy again. That's exactly how we learned what mattered and how we could improve fast. Let me give you an example of our own experience. We sold mushrooms with substrate still attached and to others without. We knew that leaving the substrate still on helps the mushroom stay fresh for longer, and we thought people would really appreciate that. We also thought that would create something known as the IKEA effect, where people value products more if they have to do some work themselves, which we expected would increase perceived value.
But very quickly, it became clear that people really valued being able to grab the mushroom and start cooking with it without all the extra work. This is a perfect example of the minimal viable product in action. These are the things that you can only learn when customers actually experience your product and give you feedback. As a mushroom grower, it's easy to assume what people really want. But often we think differently than our customers. And sometimes even they don't know what they want until they experience it. By putting out an MVP, we were able to learn directly by real customer experience and adapt immediately.
The second thing we would do is clearly define where we stand and where we want to go. When we started the business, David and I sometimes looked to information that was really meant for hobby growers. And while hobby grower techniques are fine for learning, they don't always translate efficiently to a commercial setup. For example, as a hobby grower, you might mix all the ingredients for your substrate by hand, taking your time to make sure everything is well combined. That works perfectly for a few small bags. But on a commercial farm, where time and work efficiency become crucial, it's important to adapt your techniques. You might use machines to mix or fill the substrate directly into the bags, saving time and labor. What we would do in 2026 is first be clear about your skill and goals. Are you a hobby grower, a small-scale producer, or a large commercial business? Once you know that, you can focus only on the techniques, tools, and advice that actually applies to your situation. It saves you time, energy, and resources, and helps you make decisions that are relevant for your business, instead of getting lost in methods that don't fit your goals. The bottom line is, your passion for growing mushrooms is at the heart of what you do. But if you want a real business, you also will have to pay attention to everything around it.
The last thing that we would do is focus on finding the right places to sell your mushrooms. When we started, we tried all sorts of markets. We even had nice setups at Christmas markets. However, even with a beautiful stand, it wasn't the same like being somewhere where people actually wanted our products, like at a vegan festival. Looking back, one of the things that we would prioritize in 2026 is going directly to the places where your product is wanted. It's better to be at fewer high potential locations than to spread yourself thin across many places where you have to convince people from scratch. The key is to really think about who your target audience is and focus your efforts on them. By being more intentional about where you sell, you're saving time, energy, and frustration, and your results are much better.
And that's it. Those are the key things we would do if we were starting a mushroom business in 2026.
Remember, it's all about learning fast, focusing on the right things,
Thinking like a business, and finding places where people actually want your mushrooms. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications.
and also we would like to hear from you. What's your biggest challenge while growing or selling mushrooms? Drop a comment below and let's talk about it.
We read every single one.
Thanks for watching and we will see you in the next video.